Going back to the issue of Babachi Lawa and all of that, some people say that when they held that meeting, it was all sour grapes because they didn't get Dogara didn't get the vice presidential slot, and Babachi wanted it for himself. Um, uh, Magnus Abe came here on this show and spoke about how um, Babachir himself wanted to manipulate the list that was handed over to the presidential flag bearer. Do you see this as sour grapes that they didn't get the position of vice president, and they're even more angry with you now because if they had kept quiet, they probably would have gone for the position of DG of the presidential campaign?
Well, I don't want to be talking about personalities at this level. I don't want to be talking about personalities. We are talking about interests of people. I'd already told you that the interest, even if you talk about Christian minorities, northern minorities in the party, I am always seen as number one. I'm not bragging about myself because any consultations that will come, I will be there. It is when we look at the overview and we make the vice president always as our leader. So it's either the vice president when it concerns the entire Christians' interest in the party, or when you go back to the north, I am always the one that is being consulted. I'm always the one that is being consulted. So for me, there was no meeting. I would say there was no meeting. What I only knew was that the president, the candidate asked for recommendation. And these recommendations were made, which was also confirmed by Babachir, that they made recommendations to him. And like I said, I asked the question, if you were even going to make recommendation, even if you don't like me, of course, I never went to campaign for vice president because a lot of people are writing, yes. But even if you are going to do that, it should be under a leadership. It should be under a leadership. That you did it and you didn't get will become a different matter. That will become a different matter. People will now believe that because you lost out. That's why you are crying. Why didn't you involve everybody? So that is the aspect I see. And as far as I'm concerned, I say this because, yes, I was not in that team. But when he emerged as a candidate, I promised him that I don't do anti-party. I don't do anti-party. I am going to work for you as Waju. We will work there, we will win the election. We will, by the grace of God, we will do the, we'll go and win the election. That time I was not campaigning for DG because first, again, I was not in the account. I was not campaigning for DG, but out of respect. In fact, several times he was inviting me and we were discussing, and I was giving him objective things about Northern Governors Forum, which I was the chairman. I was also giving him objective things that he would do with reference to also the concern. Let me emphasize that concern of the northern interest and northern minority interest. I emphasize it. I told him, I said, don't look at the messenger, but look at the message, because politics is about interest. It's an aggregation of interest. The interest of the minorities also should also be looked at. I told him that. I told him.
Right. Doing a post-mortem of, what happened before, during, and after the primaries, it's indeed, very attractive. But we're mindful of the time at this point now, Your Excellency. So let's look at, some of the recent developments that we have seen emerging. The Buhari administration has received several knocks, and this time around coming from the National Assembly, though it's from a minority wing of the lawmakers at the Senate. But now they're talking about impeaching President Buhari on account of the worsening level of insecurity across the country and in the Federal Capital Territory. What's your response to that, especially how it could impact on the APC's chances now?
Well, we're aware of those concerns. And it's not only expressed by the senators, but also even at progressive level and the governors forum. about the insecurity in the nation. But this is not, I must say, peculiar to Nigeria. It is everywhere, like you are seeing today. So there's thing that definitely this one affects us directly, and there must be concern about it. But I don't think that talking about taking to the level of impeachment, it will even get to impeachment, because I know there are ways of registering such concern. And every time we have a meeting, there is also attention that is drawn to some of those things. We are members of the Security Council. Each time there was a meeting, we are always there. We raise this concern. But when you added the issue of impeachment, as a former speaker, I know it's not an easy thing. It's a last resort always. And that kind of last resort is always very, very difficult. Let us pull together and remind Mr. President that security is very important. We are very concerned about it in our various states, and we are working. And it's not that the federal government is also not doing their efforts. We appreciate some of the efforts that are done, but we say that we must continue to improve on that. We've developed a directorate already, which we are working on, because each time I'm making an interview, they ask me I should bring everything. I say, in politics, there are things you also reserve and things you also tell the public that we're doing. We want to improve on what Mr. President has done. And that is the mandate that we're giving to sell to the public, which we are going to start bringing out very soon.
All right, Your Excellency, your role as DG of the Campaign Council of a presidential candidate is quite enormous. And by the time campaign starts, you're going to be all over the country every day, every month until the elections are over. You're a sitting governor, and you also have a senatorial elections to run. A lot of people feel that this is going to take you away from your primary assignment, which is your being a governor of a state. How do you intend to handle all of this? Because these three things or three assignments are quite enormous on one person.
Well, thank you very much. That was what was said when I was elected the chairman of Northern Governors Forum. They said that before we came back, as we were coming back, they said this will affect your election, this will affect this and that. We won the election, clearly, even with Northern Governors Forum. Most of the elections in my state were always winning. In spite of my attention at the Governors Forum, my attention at the Northern Governors Forum, and this one. Don't forget, the senatorial candidate ticket. My people believe in me and repose the confidence in me unopposed. There was no rival. So I was unopposed. That is to say, that is the basis for even acceptance in my constituency. The same thing when we had the primaries. Yes, there were pockets of protest here and there, which is usual in every state after primaries. But as far as I'm concerned, and as far as Plateau people are concerned, if you come to Plateau to do assessment, they will tell you the candidate is the best of all the candidates that we selected. Secondly, when we came to issue of the deputy, we did a balance. So for me, I'm very, very comfortable that up to this moment, very overwhelming support for APC. APC. So that has also reduced the pressure on me as we move in to take the national assignment. For me, it's not a problem. I know Plateau very well. Plateau also know me very well. So it's not anything that will take my attention away, and also the distance. Now, finally, that also as a DG, I am not a DG in isolation. I know those people that are with me, that are going to work with me. I know the capacity of the national chairman. I know that the president is going to be the chairman of the campaign council. I know the efforts of Mr. President. I know the governors that are surrounding me, and even the ministers and everybody. Many of them are those I will call very, very experienced politicians. So with that kind of gathering, by the time I put them together, In fact, coordinating the entire campaign will not be a problem for me, because they are going to be the field soldiers while I will sit down and coordinate. The position of the candidate himself and the vice presidential candidate are things that there are already people that are known in Nigeria and outside the country and outside the country. So that makes things better for me to even accept to go for Senate, to accept to oversee the gubernatorial campaign in my state, and also spearhead the presidential election.
Yeah, it's good to find out from you how you are going to navigate pushing the candidacy of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu as separate from that of President Muhammadu Buhari, since there are two different personalities, two different visions, two different tendencies, even though they belong to the same party.
I think all of them are experienced politicians. All of them are experienced politicians. At the level of the West and the level of the South, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu has always been in charge. When President Buhari came out and met with Asiwaju, you can see the wonderful combination. We won the election 2 times. Now imagine a situation where you have President Buhari on one side, and then the experience and the techniques, political techniques, or what people call political sagacity of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu mixed up. And then you have Kashim coming on the other side, and some of the governors, which at the end of the day, you know, are coordinating the zones. You will wonder who else, what else would be better than the structure of the APC. That's why I said in APC, the party is well structured, not only for the campaign, but generally in administration. So this is what we are going to expect from the two combinations. It is not separated. It is a continuation of what we already have in winning the election. We won 2 times, and that is what we are going to do with some added changes.
Right, but as an answer to, growing inquiry as to what the APC is offering Nigerians now through the Tinubu-Shettima ticket, especially when you look at the economic challenges presently before us, crippling debt profile, fuel scarcity, and of course the bigger picture of Nigeria, why Nigeria should be in the position it is, looking at the oil crisis, and several other realities before us. What is the Tinubu-Shettima ticket offering Nigerians now?
Well, Tinubu is already well known in Lagos. You can take the example of Tinubu, take the example of what wonderful things he did in Lagos. Impossibilities, I will say, from nothing to where Lagos is. He's going to be the president of Nigeria. You don't expect less of what he has that will contribute towards changing some of the challenges you are talking about. His vice presidential nominee, candidate, Shettima, was elected, and you know where Borno was. At the end of the day, if you look at Borno today, far better than where Borno was. In terms of the economics of the state, in fact, for long, we also have a research team, and that research team is working with the structure that we have already in government to look at those issues and also to provide solutions to them. By the time they are concluded, they conclude their activities. We are not saying, I earlier told you that we're going to be talking about issues. We're going to be talking about issues. If I guarantee you that you will see some of the issues that will convince people that there's going to be to be some changes that will also add improvement. Because I don't want to say there has not been any development or progress in this government. There has been a lot of progress. But what we are going to do is to find ways of improving on what we have to address some of the new challenges that we have.
Director General of the APC Presidential Campaign Organization and Governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong, we thank you very much for speaking with us on TVC Breakfast.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are always welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.